Okay, record is on. So let's go into After Effects and see how to use the animators and typography effects. So maybe I'll show the animators first. And again, I'll create a new composition and I'll call it Animators. And maybe 15 seconds is long enough. You put a length that you want to put, of course. There we go. And would you like to have a image over there also? Like, okay, so I forgot that. So let's do that now. And in the meantime, you could create a shape layer just by using maybe the ellipse tool. I will be using the star tool, by the way. Or you could create several of these for further use. And remember, a shape layer can be created in a way that when you don't have any other object selected here. Otherwise, it will become a mask. Okay, and then share the screen. Okay, it worked. Finally, after 4 years, I have that one. Näitä joo, viestiä tuonne. Okay, I'm going to deal with this. So if your computer is complaining that the After Effects has no space or that the scratch disk is full, then please let's create some sort of A4 and I can send a report to IT help desk about it. So does anybody have paper here? Need some? So write the number of a computer. Tässä. Niin joo, tämä on. No, toisen, tämän luokan niin kuin toisen rivin. Joo. Okay, it seems to be that the stickers that are that have the numbering of these computers, they are lost. Somebody has taken the stickers away, weirdly enough. That is very strange. Anyway, so let's get going to the business again. I have created a shape layer. So how can I handle this shape layer so that it becomes maybe a bit more interesting? Also, I'm going to, by the way, create another shape layer. So I deselected everything here, and then I take the pen tool, and maybe I don't want to have a fill here. So I click the fill off from here by clicking the name of the fill. You remember this from the beginning of this course, I think. We did this then. So I'm going to just make a random vector line. that I'm going to animate with these animators later on. There we go. Maybe have a little bit more curving. On the line. And if the line that you have created doesn't show up here as a shape layer, then you have mistakenly made a mask. And yeah, that's not a big problem. That happens to me also all the time. Okay, so now we have a like basic stroke. But let's see the let's look at the star first, and I'll name it star, although the shape might change. And I name the line layer line, surprisingly enough. So my goal here visually is to create something visually interesting by using animators and other like options that I can find here in the within the timeline, because that's where you can find the animators and stuff. Okay, I'll move this a bit away so that it's not in my way. And there's my star. And by the way, I made the star like not in the middle of the layer, so now the like pivot point is over here. So I think I'm going to move the pivot point into the middle of the star. Not so important as such, but more maybe more comfortable. Okay, so when I open up the contents of this layer, I can see here polystar path, and stroke 1 and fill 1. So I have a stroke here for the star and a fill. But let's see what path options I've got here. So first of all, I can say how many points this star will have. It could have like lots of points, and also I could animate this so that it becomes more simple or more complicated. So let's have 4 stars. Then I could change the rotation, of course. And I could animate it as well, but I'm not quite interested in that. Or am I? Well, I might start with this and then put a little bit of rotation there already. So let's put a slow rotation over 10 seconds. Okay, so now it's rotating. Nothing specific here. Then we've got an inner radius, which can also be changed. So in order to make it maybe visually a little bit more interesting already, and the outer radius, because why not? Maybe it's a bit too sharp now for my taste. Your taste might be different. Also, I can change the inner and outer roundness and animate that too. Yeah, maybe I like it. And the outer roundness. Yeah, why not? So you can do already all kinds of fun stuff with these. So maybe I'll change the outer roundness while it goes into something more clover-like maybe. And then it goes back to what it used to be. There. Yeah. And at this point, I might want also some a little bit of motion blur. Remember where to get the motion blur. So when it's actually moving, then it looks a little bit better. Yeah, so that was the path. Any questions so far? Now you know where to find that, if you didn't before. Then we have the stroke and the fill, which might also be interesting to us. So let's try out stroke at first. I'll make the fill invisible for now, so you can see the stroke better. So now the width is really small. I'll make it bigger so that you can see better what I'm doing. Okay, the color, well, it's color, and we could also animate it so that it changes over time. So I'll do that first, just for fun. And to prove a point. So there we go. There's a keyframe, another keyframe for color here. And a third one over here. So far, pretty clear, but then we get to more, maybe more interesting things, like we've got dashes, taper, and I think wave is new in After Effects, or pretty new. When I've played with the wave, there have been some issues of the program crashing. So I'd say I want to save this before I use the wave. Okay, dashes are quite obvious. These are dashes, so now you know where to find those if you want to use dashed lines. And at many times the dashed lines might be useful. And you can say how long the dash is or how short. What's the offset of the dash, and so on. Or you can just have no dashes at all and a straight line. So let's see what taper is all about. I think that might be more interesting with the like single line, but let's see. End, let's have start with and end with. It doesn't work with this. Yeah. So with this kind of closed shape, it's not that interesting, as you can see. But if I use it here for this line, then yeah, I can do it from here as well. Let's put the stroke width as bigger so you can see better again what I'm doing. So I'm now going to my other object, the line, and try to find there's the shape options, there's the stroke, and there's the taper. Start length, end length. This is what it's all about. See? So basically you can make lines that don't have a, like, that are not always the same width, which is nice when you need them. Okay, let's go back to the star. And yeah, I wanted to show what can be done with the wave. And yeah, I'm going to save this first. Okay, there we go. Animators, I'm calling this. It's a wave. Let's wave a bit. Amount. And this can be animated as everything. So let's animate it. And let's see what it looks like. And yeah, I better also change the keyframes for the wavelength and phase. Okay, I need to make my timeline bigger. There it is. Wavelength. Here we go. Let's change the phase as well. So this is how you can make an outline that lives a little bit. Let's see what this looks like if I press play and save it. A little bit too fast, maybe, for my taste. I mean, let's see when it's rendered what it really looks like. Rendering. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's too much visually. Need to get rid of these keyframes. Anyway, now you know where to find this. So that was the stroke options. And as you noticed, there are a lot of them. But let's leave the stroke options altogether and let's see what to do with what I could do with the fill. So I'll make the stroke invisible actually now. And let's concentrate on the fill. I mean, well, there seems to be not so much stuff, but however, we can say if the fill is if we have a like normal fill or if we have a gradient or radial gradient. So I'll check the radial gradient for the fill. And now I have some little tools here to where I can edit the gradient, just like I would in, let's say, Photoshop. And I could here click on the edit gradient as well and check the highlight angle, how it goes. Edit gradient. So you should be familiar with this from Photoshop, of course, or Illustrator. This looks a little bit like a clover, so I'll use a greenish color here. And I could put other colors here, but let's stop it here. And yeah, I could also change it where the opacity is actually stopping. Like here's the opacity. Here it's 100%, and here it should be, oh, it's still 100%. I want to put it as 0. So now we actually get an
apply the gradient to the shape again.
Yeah, I'll show. I went here to the fill options, and then I clicked on the letters, the word fill. And that's where I got the fill options of the linear or radial gradient. So I clicked on radial gradient, and then I got these options out, where I can also check how the fill goes. Then after that, I could click here on edit gradient and check here that the opacity stop is actually 0. And you can see it also visually that the opacity is going to 0. Also, I could change it. Now the second color is black, so I could change that to something else. It looks a bit sickly, so maybe bluish, a light blue looks tiny bit better. And I scale the whole thing so that you can see better what I'm doing. And we are not even in the animators yet. These are just the ordinary settings that we get. You know, actually, I'm maybe not that happy about the gradient after all. Yeah, maybe this works better. Yeah, I think I'm happier now. Okay, then weirdly enough, we have two transform options now open for us. There's the big transform options that we have used before in this course. And then we have let's say, smaller transform options under the Polystar itself. And there we get something like skew and skew axis and rotation. So let's see, if I click on skew, what happens? Well, this happens. Well, that's understandable enough, right? Skew used to be an animator, but now they have put it over here. And there are some interesting things that can be done already with the skew option. But I think I'll leave it at that and let you try out what you can do with it if you need to. So now I'm back again. So sometimes you want to fiddle with these and see what they can do. Okay, let's get on with adding the actual animators. And you might have noticed that there is also a place over here in the menus that's called animation, but we're not yet going there. We'll go there later with the text. But just that you know, we are going there today. So right now I'm interested in this tiny little button here inside the timeline, inside the shape layer, that says add, and then there's a even tinier button that when you press the button, then you find these so-called animators. So what I'm mostly interested here are this third group of animators. There's something called twist and the repeater, puckle and bloat, offset paths, zigzag. Okay, where should I begin? So let's try out, for instance, the offset paths and see what happens. And I'm going to save this first for all purposes. And let's put some keyframes here. I'll put the first keyframes here, copy offset. And I'm going a little bit forward in time. And let's see, we have only one copy, so it's not very interesting. So let's put like 28 copies, and let's put a bit of offset there. And amount. So it's getting much slower for one. So maybe if I put the number of copies in smaller, then you can see better what's happening here. Okay, so it's basically copying the star many times around. I'm not sure if that is right now what I want to have. So let's make offset paths invisible, and let's try some other animator. Let's see what kind of results we get from others. So zigzag. I once loved the zigzag and then I hated it. Let's see how it goes now. Okay, zigzag is pretty straightforward. It makes zigzags. So sometimes this can be fun and sometimes not so much. And I can say if these are corners or if they are smooth ones. Like, yeah. So that was zigzag. So let's see what pucker and bloat does. So this is what pucker and bloat does. It changes your it makes this. Yeah, it makes this. So you might get some nice effects with the pucker and bloat if you are into mandalas and geometric stuff. Like, it could be fun. Then there's the repeater, also interesting. So maybe more interesting than the offset pass, but a little bit similar. So here you also make copies. It's a bit like the echo effect. Maybe you remember that, but this is not an echo, but okay, let's offset it a little bit. Okay. And there's also transform tools for the repeater itself. So let's use them. Let's animate this. So, for instance, if I put the end opacity to 0, it should become a little bit more interesting. Yes. or maybe the start opacity. Okay, now it's becoming a little bit more what I want it to be. And try to get as close to 0, then change, let's put the start opacity at 100 and end opacity as 0. See what happens. And it needs some time first to do its thing. Let's put the copies into a lower number. Okay, so as you can see, this is a bit of fiddly stuff where you need to try out things. And this is why I said that I wouldn't be showing all the details, because it's a bit boring maybe to watch. Like now I'm setting the rotation here, also maybe the scale. So I'm starting with like really small scale. Or maybe starting with almost 100 and then getting off to somewhere else. Unknown BIB error, unknown Bravo error. That sounds ominous. Okay. So as you noticed, there might be problems when you use these. I had the like rotation here already as the movement, and that's why these stars are now moving as I put the repeater and changed the scale and rotation there as well. So there's a certain element of surprise, or let's say randomness, which I created, like visual randomness, which I wanted to have. And this could be then combined with something else again. Or I could try to make a repeater for this line. And as you might see, After Effects is starting to have trouble rendering this. I was actually lucky that it didn't crash earlier. So maybe it's good now to let you have a little bit of time to study these and try these animators out now that you know where they are. Try them out with different kinds of shape layers. Also try them out with with lines. And I'll get myself something like resembling T, and I'll stop sharing and make a pause to the recording. Okay, we've had the pause, and let's get on to the typography effects, and I'll share my screen. And for this, I think I'll create a new composition. I can then nest my text into here if I want to. And also it's clearer for you to see what I'm doing here. So new composition. And again, 15 seconds, yeah. I'll call it text. Very innovatively. And I'll put the preserve frame rate when nested and preserve resolution when nested. Okay. And now first we need the text, of course. So I need the type tool. Oh, by the way, I didn't know that there is a vertical type tool as well. Never used it. Like for Western text, it's maybe not optimal to have a vertical type. I should have mentioned that, by the way, in the graphic introduction to graphic design. I think I didn't. And anyway, let's get on with. Okay, so the task was to use your own name, so I'm going to use my name here as well. Maybe I can write it correctly by now at this age. And yeah, I'll put the pan behind. I mean the pivot point. I'll put it here into the middle, and maybe also I'll center it. Oh, and of course now the pivot point has changed because I changed the centering. Okay, stupidity takes many forms. So let's just center the text, and now the pivot point is approximately in the middle already. And am I happy with the Neue Kabel typeface? Yeah, why not? But you should always think about if the typeface or font is really what you want, or should you do some researching? But for now, I think I'm happy with that, and maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger so you can again see better what I'm doing. And there, just like with the shape layers, there are several options here within the timeline for the text itself. So maybe I have not shown this as much as I should have shown it already before. So here, text. So now I'm showing it. So maybe if I want first just one word to appear and then another. So let's make that as an assumption that I first want to have just my first name and then my second name. Okay. So I put like time like my first keyframe for the source text here. And now you can see that the keyframe looks a little bit different than usually. But let's put the next keyframe here. And so I'll double click on text and change what it says. And now as you can see, the surname appears where the keyframe is. Did everybody get this?
How do you make the square again?
Yeah, I just clicked the first keyframe here for the source text, and then it made it square
so
automatically.
There's no separate thing for that.
Hmm?
So there's no separate thing for making
nope.
The keyframe that just appears instead of easing into it.
Well, I could ease into it, but I mean, this is how to change the text right away. If you have let's say you have a motion graphic where you have dubbing, or you want to have text that is always in the same place and that changes suddenly, then this is how you do it. So you can use the same one of the same layer for many kinds of texts. That was my point here, I guess. But if you want to have the text slowly appear and disappear, then I think this is not the place where to do it. then in that case, I would use different layers. But I could have like a longer text where one word at a time would appear. Like so. Is. Oh, and the need to change the leading. There we go. So now if I let this play and maybe put the keyframes a little bit closer to each other, then this will happen. Yeah. So I think I just wanted to make a point here, how to do this. But I'll get rid of these other words and just stay with this. And that's it. Okay, what else have we got under here, under the path options, for instance? Well, okay, well, actually, you remember what the path options were. We have done this before. We have made the path and put the text over there. Would you like to do it again, or would you like me to show it again? I mean, how to put text on a path, that's pretty like straightforward. There we go. And now I can say that, okay, I want the path to be this mask. Oh, and yeah, it didn't make it as a mask. So I need to copy this path from here. Contents, shape 1, path, and now I click Control and C, and now it should remember this path. And now maybe if I click Control V, it will do it. After Effects error, the face cannot be completed, blah, blah, blah. Right. So I need to do this again. Let's make it as a mask. Yeah, like rookie error, I thought I was making a mask for the layer and I was making a shape layer. Now it should work. Oh yes, now it is a mask. Yes, masks. So the path where the text should be is the mask. There we go. That's how you did it. You do it. And there are these all kinds of fun options that you can do, like reversing the path or put it perpendicular to path. Yeah, I think I showed this in one of the first lectures. And you can change where the first margin is and then make the text go along with it. But this is not what I'm now actually interested in. So I'll put it back to none. So let's see, what other options do we have? We have anchor point grouping. And here is what is becoming interesting. But first I need to make a short stop here at animation and go to animate text. As you can see, there are lots of animators also for text, but first I need to enable the per character 3D. So I'm in the animation menu, animate text, enable per character 3D, and I click it on. And now you can see that something has visibly changed. So there is a lot of interesting stuff that is happening now, or could be happening. And I have now, instead of 2 axes, I have 3 axes where I could animate this text, and I could do it also per character. And upon grouping, or I could here change that instead of per character, it could be per word or per line or everything at once. So let's see, let's keep it on character still. And now I need to tell which characters I want to change. Maybe these ones. And let's make keyframes. And I need some animators here also. Position, scale, rotation, skew. Maybe, well, position might be fun for now. And now I have something called a range selector for the position. And I need to say here, like which range I want to have. Do I want to have all of the letters or not? Now as I'm changing the end, you can see that the range is changing. So I'll start with the first letter as my range. And then go further in time and put the last letter over here. This is a bit fiddly stuff. And then I can start thinking about what happens with a position with my actual animator. So here, let's put the position of the first keyframe here, and then see how it changes. This is how it changes. So actually, I'm not so keen on this angle. Yeah, this might be more fun.
I think you should add the animator one effect.
Okay, I'll show you how to add a next animator effect. So now I'm clicking. So here, just like we did with the previous exercise, I clicked here on the tiny animate button. And now I have slightly different animators than before with the shape layers. So now I could have like maybe rotation or opacity, also the fill color that could be changed one character at a time. Or let's see what the offset will give me. So there's the position. Now I have character range and character offset again. So let's see if this does what I wanted it to do. Okay. This is the offset. I had forgotten this. It's changing the character in the in the alphabet. That was not quite what I wanted, but an interesting effect. So if you want to have like random letters in the alphabet. However, I don't want this now. So I try to get it. Take this away. Okay, Farita. So let's have this as 0. So the character offset was not such a good idea. So let's have another animator. So maybe the rotation is more interesting. Okay, there's the keyframes for everything, and let's have rotation. Now, do I want to rotate everything at once or not? Well, that might be one option. Okay. So as you can see, you can do really strange things here with your letters. Also fading them in and out and so on is one thing you can do. And you can put some wiggly stuff there as well. So you remember the wiggler, so you might want to put everything a little bit hazy and unclear. You can find this same animators over here than in the timeline. And yeah, you can also select all the transform properties so that they will be shown at once, and then you can make whatever you like there. So there's a lot to experiment, and I think you should have now enough information to do those experiments on your task. And I'll stop my sharing unless there are now questions that you would like me to show or on screen, I mean. Okay, I'll stop the share and stop the recording.